We have just short of 200 apartments. We're looking to expand across Europe. This kind of risks that most of the companies nowadays, they're not able to build and run their own tech stack. If I want to run a scalable business, it's a core feature of our business.
What does exceptional hospitality mean?
Um,
It's a never-ending journey, right?
Big part of our journey. We started with only hiring students.
What triggered that shift in focus from technology to people, empathy, and hospitality? All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hospitality Edge podcast. Super excited to have a very good friend of mine and someone that I'm actually very excited to talk with today, Adam. Let me know if I'm getting the last name correctly. Nedved, co-founder of Prague Days, and even that I have a hard time with. Blahobyty. Is that correct? Blahobyty?
Yes, it's 100% correct. Blahobyty.
Blahobyty. There you go. There you go. So, Adam, why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about yourself and the amazing story you have going from just, a few properties, and now you have pretty much what I would consider to be a quite large and, impressive portfolio of properties. And tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today, and a little bit of what it is that you're doing nowadays.
Thank you very much for the nice intro, Sebastian. So my name's Adam, and I'm a co-founder of Prague Days and Blahobyty. We basically started as a bootstrapped property management company. We basically started with managing one apartment in Prague in 2016. Since the day one, we had a big idea about we wanted to build a scalable business. We knew that managing Airbnbs is going to be very, very operationally exhausting, and be very difficult to do at scale. So from the day one, we thought maybe if we think about it as a difficult problem that needs a technological solution, we can move on from there. So from the day one, we started building our own PMS, because back in the day, we thought that there's simply no good software solution that would fit fit with our vision. So we started building our own PMS. We started building our own internal company system. We started thinking about all the processes we needed to build, and we started finding clients. So from the day one with apartment one, we grew bit by bit until today, when we have just short of 200 apartments. We also manage 2 apartment buildings. We have a 3rd apartment building that's going to be open very soon, and we're looking to run many more projects. Nowadays, we manage only apartments in Prague, but we're looking to expand maybe to different locations across Europe in the coming years. So that's basically a short summary of what we do.
200 properties under management. That's a crazy journey right there. One thing that I would like to understand, because you started with mentioning the fact that you decided to build your own PMS from the get-go. So let's go back to that moment when you're starting out. Did you test PMSs that were out there before you decide to go in and build your own, or was it more of a thing where it was clear you wanted to build tech from the get-go, and so it was just like, let's just get into what is it that we need here?
We didn't spend too much time testing what was available on the market, but we did our homework. So we had some test drives with different softwares. We contacted different companies. We looked at what was available, and we thought that we didn't see anything that would match our vision, because we had quite clear idea about what we needed to do. But at the time, I thought that most of the softwares weren't really strong on the processes kind of side, and I still think that most of them are not at this point. So we wanted to combine all of the operations that we have. We wanted to combine, all of the ticketing system. We wanted to combine, management of all the properties that we have. We wanted to manage all of the cleanings. We also wanted to manage all of the financial transactions. That was very important for us from the day one. we wanted to make sure that basically every single dollar that comes on that's accounted for on our bank account, that we can track where it came from, and that we can track whether it's paid out or not. And we wanted to make sure that this happens automatically, because we knew that if you want to find a scalable solution, this has to be working just perfectly, and we wanted to have some kind of control over that. So we've been building that from the day one, and we wanted to make sure that it works for us, and that we want to make sure basically that if we have an idea about the process that we want to make, we wanted to make sure that we can create a software that supports it. We felt that using a software solution that was available at the market at the moment, when we started, we saw that if we used such a software, we wouldn't be able to work or operate the way that we thought was the best, but we would have to, find ways around the PMS to be able to manage our company. And we thought that was fundamentally wrong. Besides, we thought that, there's always this kind of risks that if you're too reliable on a software partner, they can always change, their licenses, the contract, the contractual agreement. They can always change the pricing. If we started back then, we would have changed our PMS partner many times. I think once or twice by the time we're here. So there would be many costs associated with running a solution that was ours, and we thought that at the time there wasn't too much of an advantage, and we thought that it was quite expensive by the time to have the PMS system that we would pay for. So having a technical background, technical background, we thought we might as well start building our own from the scratch.
Interesting. And so I wanna touch on this for a second as well, and I would like to know, you've probably come across many PMSs, property management softwares since then, from third-party vendors that have probably approached you and whatnot. Do you think, and this is, just out of curiosity, do you think that if you were starting today with the PMS providers that exist out there, do you think you would still find out that what you need is not available, and you would still go the development route? Or do you think if you were going to start again today, you would find something good enough, that pricing makes sense, and you would probably just leverage an existing solution? What do you think would be the case today?
I think the market has really matured over the past few years. From the point where everybody was starting out, and all the different softwares were really much very immature, and you wouldn't be able to tell which one would eventually win the competition. I think nowadays it's a much clearer case, and you can see that there's one or two or three that are going to win the competition. They're going to have some major market share, and some of the others they probably won't survive. I think it makes it a little easier to make the decision nowadays. I do even think it's a little cheaper, or it's easier to get the contracts for cheaper prices to get good PMS. So I think it would be much harder to make the decisions today than it was 8 years ago. I couldn't tell. I think nowadays I would have to make a lot more computations, and it would be a huge headache to make the decision. But it wasn't really 8 years ago.
Back then it was a straightforward, clear. We need to build our own. Right now it would be more of a let's see. Let's see how much this options out there do cover what we need. Makes sense. And also, we were at VRMA in Orlando last week, and there was a panel around building your own tech stack, putting it together versus building it and whatnot. And one of the things that they talked about is sometimes it's about, well, if you're gonna build your own tech, one of the things that could help make sense of that decision is whether you're gonna eventually be able to sell that technology to other operators. Is that something that's part of your roadmap? Is that something you think about when you're building your own tech? Or for you, is it always around like, let's build tech that works good and well for us, but it's not really like in the back of your head that this could eventually be put out there in the market? What are your thoughts around like commercializing your own tech that you've built?
Um, for us, I do think that we're trying to build an exceptional hospitality company. That means that we're focusing 100% on the guest experience. We're focusing on running an exceptional hospitality business in service departments, let's say. This is where 100% of our focus goes to. Um, Building our own tech stack is a very important part of what we do. Um, it's a philosophical question. I understand that most of the companies nowadays they are not able to build and run their own tech stack because they lack the people, they lack the knowledge, and it's very expensive. It's very expensive and hard to manage. So most of the companies, it's not an option for them. On the other hand, nowadays, if I want to run a scalable business, should I outsource all of the tech somewhere else? I'm not sure. I do think about, when we talk about the PMS, I think it's a core part of our hospitality business. So we build it to provide an exceptional hospitality service to our guests. And I do believe that it's a core feature of our business. And I do think it enables us in many ways to deliver a great service. And I do believe that it allows us to build new features and react to what guests needs, and it allows us to do many great things that wouldn't be possible without our own tech stack.
Okay.
To answer your question, we are a hospitality company and we're not thinking about selling our own tools to someone else. It would be possible to make a pivot and become a software company that sells a software, but we never thought about that. I mean, there's a great value in our software, but on the other hand, building a software where you're a sole user of that software is something different to building a software for
sure.
many other customers. So, it's not that it would be possible to take our software and sell it, to someone tomorrow. That wouldn't be possible. It would be possible to create a product based on our own software that we use at the moment, but it's not part of our strategy at the moment.
It's not necessarily the focus. I love the fact that you're saying, we're focused on being a hospitality company and delivering exceptional hospitality. Let's talk about that for a second. What does exceptional hospitality mean for you, and how do you think you guys differentiate yourselves when it comes to that, side of things, guest experience? We've talked a lot about that off camera on how you guys really take a lot of pride into the quality of the service you provide. So tell us a little bit about what exceptional hospitality means for you personally.
Yeah, okay. Very difficult question. Oh, for me personally, exceptional hospitality is about delivering a great service to every single guest every single day. I mean, it's about having a team that realizes that the core objective and the purpose of the team is to make other people happy. I think delivering hospitality is a lot about empathy. It's about being there for every guest, and not treating every single reservation as as a process. And it's something that we had to really learn ourselves over the many years, because as I said, and it might be obvious from my answers previously, we started as a little bit as a tech company. We had no one on the team with hospitality background, so we knew that we had to scale a very difficult operational business. So we thought about everything as being part of a process. But then at one point, when you treat every reservation as a process and you treat it as a series of tasks, you deliver you may deliver, good reservations, but you do not deliver exceptional hospitality. I think the exceptional hospitality comes from the human aspect. It comes from the point of view of every single team member, and it comes from the desire to be able to provide something great for the others, for every single guest. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult to tell, it's this or that. I think it's every single interaction in the team, basically.
Mm.
And it comes from the team, and it's about the people. And it's something that, we try to do well. We try to focus on that, but I'd still say after many years, we're still at the beginning of what can be achieved as a great hospitality.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
yeah,
It's
so
a
in
never-ending journey,
general,
right? Delivering
yeah,
exceptional
exactly.
hospitality, because you can always do more. Um, and at the end of the day, for me, hospitality really is all about exceeding expectations, right? So whatever the person was expecting they would get, how can you make sure that throughout each one of those touch points, you really amaze them and wow them and surprise them and exceed their expectations. So, there's always more that could be done if we think about it that way. But I want to understand, where did the change in focus come from? Because you said you started as a technology oriented company, process oriented company, a lot around efficiencies, but yet somehow, somewhere along that process, you realize, okay, we're achieving all these levels of efficiency, but there's something missing. Why did you, like, what was it that made you realize, like, it's not just about the efficiencies? Was it like, is it the reviews you were getting? Is it just something that just spoke to you personally, more around, like, it's not just about being a lean operation, and as you were saying, you're treating each reservation as just a simple process? Like, what triggered that shift in uh, focus from just technology efficiency processes to people, empathy, and hospitality, like you were saying earlier?
Oh yeah, it's a big part of our journey. So as I said, we're a bootstrapped company. We started this company as for co-founders. For example, me, I was still studying at a university when we founded the company. So we didn't really have any funding, and until today, we never had any investor in us. So everything we've built with what we earned from the day one.
Mm.
When we started the company, that was a huge decision to be made. Basically, we knew that we either can invest into building our technology and building everything that nowadays runs the company, or whether we should invest in the people. And we thought, okay, fine. If we invest in people, we're gonna hire exceptional people. We're gonna pay them well, and they're gonna know, everything about every single of our apartments, and they're gonna do great service, right? But is
Mhm.
that scalable? How does that work if we get more apartments? And what happens if that one person that knows everything, if for some reason he wants to leave? Our company wouldn't be able to work anymore. It's not something that you can build anything on. So we thought, okay, we don't have any budget basically. So let's build the technology. Let's build something that will support our processes in the future. Let's build something that's scalable. And for the people, well, we started basically with only hiring students. One of the reasons behind this is that I knew that there was a lot of talent on the universities and among the students. Being a student myself, I knew there were a lot of people that would love to work and learn something and prove that they're really good in the working environment. But most of the students' jobs, then they don't give you the chance. So we thought,
Mhm.
okay, fine. If we can find the people that are willing to show that they're good and they wanna learn something, we can work with them and we can build the company with them. So this
Mhm.
is how we started, and for many years, basically, you know, basically all of the staff that we had would be, students. Basically everyone on the team would be students.
Like just recently
That's
graduated students, or people that were still studying and they were kind of like working a few hours
Yeah,
here and
ba-
there?
yeah, basically part-time jobs only.
Part-time jobs only.
Basically,
Okay, interesting.
it was something that was very difficult, but it enabled us, to start building the company with low budget.
Right.
So we were investing heavily in the tech stack, and we had a lot of students that were really eager to learn and eager to build the company. And I think it was a great experience for all of them. Some of them stayed with our team, some of them moved on. But well, with a lot of hard work, it enabled us to build a company. It was able to run dozens and then maybe 100 apartments, and basically with okay quality. I wouldn't say exceptional, but I'd say we had okay quality. We didn't have we didn't have a bad reviews. But on the other hand, our focus was to be able to provide the standard the standard quality that you expect from your stay. We wanted to make sure that we are able to get the cleaning right every time. We wanted to make sure that we can deliver the keys. We wanted to make sure that we send you the right message at the right time, but nothing else. We just wanted to make sure that basically we don't create any bad reservations. We don't want to make sure we just wanted to make sure that we don't create any bad experience for the guests, but we weren't making sure that we are building the exceptional hospitality yet. At some point, it was clear that it wasn't the processes anymore that were holding us back, because at the day one, we didn't really have that many processes. We didn't have the system, the PMS built. It was still very early stage. But after a few years, we started becoming more and more sure that it's not the system that's holding us back, but it was maybe that the people were just working part-time, and even though they were dedicated to the job, if you have people that are changing their shifts every day and you don't have anyone who's there from Monday to Friday, it's just hurting your efficiency on many different levels. So at that point, we knew that we had to start investing more into full-time staff, full-time team members, and we had to start investing heavily into the team to make sure that we are able to provide the exceptional hospitality for the future. Because at that point, it was clear to us that at one side you can have the processes, and if you have the good processes, you can basically make sure that you deliver what you have to deliver every single time or most of the times. On the other hand, if you want to create exceptional hospitality, that is about delivering a great experience to the guests, and to have a team that's motivated to do that on everyday basis. That has to come from the team. So at one point, we just made the shift from orienting and investing only in tech to investing and orienting on the team. And at that point of time, we already had the PMS, and we already had the tech stack, and we already had the system that was running, and that was making us it was making possible for us to deliver good stays, and we could have started building on top of that.
That's very interesting. So basically, the approach was let's focus on the tech first. Let's bootstrap our way into a position where we have a good foundation, so to speak. With the students working part time, and then once the tech was solid enough, you were like, okay, now we want to go to the next level. Now we need to focus on the people. And I'm curious, is this, in terms of the timing, is this also similar in timing to where, because you and I were having this conversation, I think it was in Barcelona, on how when you as a co-founder, as a leader at your organization are looking into, okay, what are the areas where you should be spending most of your time? There was a shift as well that you talked to me about, and
Yeah.
you mentioned, I think, a book that had actually helped change your mindset around how people and just talent and HR was one of those most important functions that you could and should be focusing on as a leader. So in terms of the timing, was this also related, and was this also around that same time that you decided to make that transition? Number one. And number two, tell us a little bit more about that book. Tell us a little bit more about that mindset of yours around HR and people, and how that was before versus after having been exposed to some of those ideas.
Oh yes. Actually, it was just around that time, maybe a little before. As you said, for me, when we started the company, I knew a lot about IT, tech, math, and statistics. I didn't know a lot about HR. So, as in a lot of companies, when we started, building the company, we were really lucky to have a great team member of ours who would take care of the HR. And we thought, okay, fine. So when we need to hire someone, let's just tell that person to hire someone, and we're fine. We didn't think too much about the team. And basically, when you start a company, you know everyone on the team, and you meet them all the time, every day, and you don't really have to worry that much about having a good relationship and having the vision and having a defined culture. You don't have to think about it that much because you meet everybody every day. You have everything under control. So naturally, we didn't do that much, and we didn't focus on that. As the team grew, you and as we acquired more and more units to manage, it was becoming apparent that the cohesion the cohesion of the team would be over the time we would be losing the cohesion. So I would see, there are people, they just came in, they don't know much about, the company, where it came from, what we're thinking about. They don't much, they don't really have to care much about our mission. And when you start seeing people like that, you see that you have to invest a lot of time in them, and you think, okay, how do I do that on the scale, and how do I think about it? And at that time, I thought, okay, it was clear that if we are to scale the company, and if we are to provide a great hospitality, we really have to focus on the team. So I started doing my research. I started doing my research into HR. I started reading books, listening to podcasts, meeting people, because at that time I realized one thing that I think is most important running the business. I thought, okay, we're building a tech stack, we're building a company. We have some vision of the future of the company, but if we are to achieve that, we have to be able to provide, great experience to our guests. And who is going to deliver that experience on a daily basis? It's going to be the team. And it's always going to be the team. And it's always going to be about the people. So at that time, before that time, I didn't think that, people are the most important thing in the organization. It's not to say that I didn't think they're important, but I would say there are many things that are most important in many aspects of the company. But from then on, I truly do believe that people are the most important aspect for the company, and I started really I started working on that. I started working on our recruitment strategy. I started working on our culture code. I started working on our HR processes, something that I invested most of my time into from then on, because I really do believe that this is really something that our whole service is built upon. We are operationally efficient, maybe because of our software, but every single reservation and every single review, that's basically a result of the work of the entire team. As we have a common Slack channel for our own for the entire team. So we have a one room, and in that room, every single team member of the company is a member of that room, and every single review that we get is posted into that channel. And so during the onboarding, I tell to everybody that I onboard that it's a result of our entire team. And if you work in marketing for a company, or if you work in IT in our company, you might think that you work on the ads, or maybe you think that you work on software features.
Mhm.
But it's not true. In the end, you're still working on the guest experience, and you work in hospitality, and you became a part of the company that provides a great hospitality and great guest experience. And so if you are programming this feature in our own internal system, the feature is there for the guests to have great experience. So it's your responsibility. And it's not only the housekeeping staff, and it's not only the people who communicate with the guests, but it's everybody and every single one in the company. They work towards the guest experience. Um, so yeah, I just realized that there's a lot to be done to create a culture of basically willing to provide great hospitality wherever you work in the company, and to feel that everybody's united behind this goal, and everybody's doing their part to achieve the great hospitality in every single reservation. And as you mentioned the book, I had a great recommendation from one of my friends who's also a startup founder, who recommended me Work Rules by Laszlo Bock, which is a great HR book about Google, and about the old about the history of HR processes, maybe, let's say, that were built in Google. It was a great source of inspiration for me. Not that I would think that I'd copy every single thing that I read there, because we're not Google, and not everything that works in Google works here.
Yeah.
But it was a great inspiration for me about the way about thinking about HR, thinking about the role of HR in the company, and thinking about sorts of aspects that should be somehow covered in the company, to make sure that you build a culture, to build something that you can call a culture.
Is there anything, like, let's say, if we're trying to bring this down to earth for anyone that's listening and that's thinking, okay, you know what, maybe, because everyone's going to say, people are important and we care about our people. And it's like easy to say, right? But then it's hard to put in practice, and it's hard to now do something about it. It's hard to operationalize. So how do you operationalize? How do you bring down to earth, putting people first? What does that look like? Is it training? Is it just more one-on-one time with your team? Is it just we do at Angel Host yearly get-togethers where we work with in so many parts of the world. We bring everyone, and we have a weekend or a few days of just non-work related activities. Like, what was it for you that what were the main things that you think made the biggest impact around putting people first, that you would recommend other operators consider doing as well if they're trying to put a bigger emphasis on their people?
Yeah, it's very hard. Actually, there's so many things that we do, and I can't really say which are the most important ones and which are not. I do think about it as a complex complex thing, having many different aspects, and we try to build upon those. So one thing that I do believe that's very important, and starts even before putting people first. Well, I think most of the companies are not really excellent in that, and that's recruiting. Um, well, recruiting is very difficult, because you get to spend very little time with your candidates, and you have to make sure that those people fit in your culture. that means that you have to have a really good definition of what your culture is, and you have to have a really good idea about what you're looking for when you're hiring the people. So you want to define certain aspects of your culture, and basically, everybody will know that hiring a wrong people in the company is extremely costly, because if you hire a wrong people in your team, you spend a lot of time onboarding them. You spend a lot of time, training them for the job. You spend a lot of time and effort trying to make them successful in the team. Then they just start. They make mistakes. You obviously let people make mistakes, especially when they're new. You want to make sure that they learn from their mistakes. So, you give them a lot of feedback, you spend a lot of time with them, then you see whether they learn or not. And when you realize that they're not here to learn and they don't really care, you part ways and you start looking for another one. But that's extremely, extremely costly, and most probably on the way, at some reservations, you didn't really make a good impression to your guests, because something on the way might have failed because of that person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to realize that hiring someone who's not a good fit in your team is very, very expensive, and it's much more expensive than saying no, unless you're sure that the people that you're hiring and recruiting and bringing into your team are a good fit. So I think everything starts with the recruiting. We have, several internal objectives. For recruiting, one of the objectives is that basically I want to make sure that the rest of the team are really confident that if we recruit someone, if we bring someone new to the team, that they have a really they do believe that this person will improve the team as a whole. I want to make sure that because in many companies, you have the HR recruiting new people on the team, new team members, and there's not really a belief that every single one of them might be a good fit. So there's a certain reservation to the new people, and I want to make sure that the whole team is very welcoming and very supportive, and you want to have all of the team supporting each one of its members to make sure that all together we achieve great results, right? So you want to make sure that the recruiting is working really well, that it's maybe a really difficult to get on the team, but you want to make sure that if someone gets on the team, they will be welcomed and they will be supported. Then if I move to the other phase, or the second phase, when you already have a team, and you want to make sure that you build upon that, you want to have a vision and you want to have that culture. I'd say culture is a set of ideas that are common for every single member on the team. So even though maybe you have two team members who haven't really had much communication between them yet, they will have a certain set of ideas about certain things, how we operate, are shared and are common. And then even though they haven't spoke about them yet, they would be shared between them, because in the end they work together, right, on the same mission, on the same objective. So you want to make sure that from the day one, when you onboard the people, and then throughout their careers in the team, they have an idea about what the culture is, what the mission is, what the objective is, why we're here, what we're doing, basically. Which you can write that in few sentences in your internal knowledge base and say, okay, that's it. Read it when you're new in the team. But basically, behind the culture, there are so many ideas. You really want to talk about those with your people, with your team, with your managers, with every single team member. So I do believe it's about sharing these ideas, and sharing these ideas. It's about talking about those ideas, really having an idea why we are doing the things that we do the way we do.
Yeah, no, that's huge. There's a few things I want to
Mm-hmm.
highlight there. First, you mentioned, well, of course, it starts with the recruitment. It's more expensive to bring on, the wrong person than it is to maybe take a little bit longer to do a better, due diligence and make sure it's the right fit. So set those right expectations, explain the culture. Don't just say, hey, this is what kind of a company we are. This is how you need to be, but also explain the why behind how you got there. So that's, I think, super, super, super important. Um, I also like to say, for recruitment purposes, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no, right? If you're not convinced that this person is going to be the right fit, then if there's doubts, better to discard.
Absolutely.
And I really like something you said. Uh, if they're not going to make the team better, then also discard, right? Which is something that maybe a lot of people might be so, into the day to day operations of needing to fill this gap, needing to fill this role, where it's like, okay, if they're good enough, right? If they're going to do the job, let's just bring them in. But what you're saying is actually no. Are they gonna elevate the team? Are they gonna elevate the standards that we are, putting on the table? Are they gonna take the responsibilities given to them, and are they gonna just do as they're told, or are they gonna even maybe come up with better and new ideas? So I love that, and I think it's so fundamental. And I think it's true that it's the foundation of delivering exceptional hospitality, caring about people and putting people first. So that's why I think this was such a relevant topic for us to discuss. I want to be conscious of time here, and believe me, Adam, I could have you in here for hours, because this is a topic that I'm super passionate about, and so are you. But tell us a little bit more to sort of wrap things up around the vision that you have for the company moving forward. I mean, you've been tremendously successful. You've brought this company from zero to you and your team have brought this company from zero to 200 properties. Now what? What's the next stage of development for you guys? What are you most excited about, and what can we expect to see from Adam and the team, in the coming years?
Yeah, so as I said, I do believe we're still at the beginning with our project. I'm really glad. By the way, we've traveled so far. I'm really glad, and I'm really proud of the team, really, to be where we are at the moment. But basically, we started managing Airbnb apartments in 2016. We started managing them for single homeowners, and this is mostly what we do still in Prague. But we started in the last 2 years. We started focusing more on larger projects. So we started running whole apartment buildings. We started managing an apartment building with 33 units last year under a management contract. This year we opened our own rent-to-rent apartment building with 15 units, and these projects are exceptionally doing well. And I'm really, really glad and proud of these projects because they're doing well on the financial basis. Guests love them. We got great feedbacks around them. And but for us, most importantly for us, we're able to deliver really good experience for the guests there at scale. And we believe that at this point in time, we are ready to manage many more projects like these, and we already are working on more projects like these. So we'll be opening a new building very soon. Maybe I think this month we'll make it, and we have several other in the pipeline. So basically, I do believe as a company we are shifting a little bit towards becoming sort of a more of a traditional hospitality company, let's say, but by opening, managing, and running apartment buildings with service apartments under our name, something that we believe that we can do at scale, and I do believe that we can create a really good guest experience in. These buildings, they provide us with new opportunities to make the experience for the guests even better. And I do believe that from the investment standpoint, we're able to basically create really good opportunities for the hospitality investors. So this is something I'm really, really excited about. This is something that basically is about about the near future for us. And well, in long term, we've been building our own brand, our own hospitality brand, which is something that's still very early stage project for us. But we've built our own booking engine. We also have been investing heavily into corporate travel. So we have over 100 partnerships in corporate travel nowadays, and something that is very important for us. And we do believe that this is something that will enable us to open new locations in different cities. So in the longer term future, we're looking to maybe expand to other cities beside Prague. So as I said, even though we've come a
you
long
look at
way,
Europe as a whole, sorry that I
yeah, sure.
just want to elaborate on the expansion there. What do you think are the next markets that make more sense for you beyond Prague? Where would you want to see yourself having a presence if we look fast forward, 3 to 5 years from now? What would be some of those next, so to speak, obvious markets where expansion would be most likely coming for you in the coming months or years?
Yeah, well, it depends on many factors, but if I were to tell you what I think would be our way right now, I think it would be expanding our presence in CEE, in Central European and Eastern European area. So I think that moving to Poland, maybe Hungary, maybe Slovenia, and maybe Romania and countries like that would be our market. I do believe that this is a market that is underappreciated by the investors. I do believe that in Europe, everybody's looking, Italy, and they're looking to Portugal and Spain and France, and for obvious reasons. But I do believe that, urban market in CEE is underappreciated. I do believe it has a huge upside potential, and I also do believe that it's quite closer to us and to what we know and what we understand, even though I'm very well aware of the difficulties of, coming to a different market because every market is unique. So it needs a lot of time, preparation, it needs local partners. But I do believe that focusing more on the CEE region would be, at the moment, would be a best idea for us.
I love it. And as a strategy, I think it makes like a lot of sense, a lot of sense to see what are markets where there's potential, how those type of markets work somehow. So it's not too much of a, stretch for you and your knowledge and your capacity and whatnot. But at the same time, markets that are, as you said, underappreciated perhaps by the mainstream, let's say, tourism, travel and whatnot. So I'm super excited to see how all of that is going to come together in the coming years for you. I think you have a tremendous culture in place, very successful foundations, and what you've done is pretty impressive already. But it's good to have that mentality of, no, this is just the beginning, and there's so much ahead of us. So I really look forward, Adam, to seeing that in progress, and I'll continue to cheer for you on the sidelines here. But again, I wanted to thank you for your time, Adam, for joining. This was, I think, a very insightful conversation for anyone that's looking to, just upgrade their standards around talent, around recruitment, around HR, and even some considerations around, technology development and whatnot. So I think this was a very, very interesting and productive conversation, Adam. So thank you very much for having taken the time. And I look forward to catching up with you in one of the upcoming conferences, which I'm sure we'll see each other again at one of those.
Sure, it was a great pleasure, Sebastian. Again, I'll be happy to talk to you again, and it was a great pleasure to talk to you here on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adam. Thanks so much, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, sure.